9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the episode of the Popcorn People podcast. I am your host. On today's episode, we're going to have some fun breaking down House of the Dragon. I said it right. I've been saying House of Dragons, not House of the Dragon. I've been yelled at multiple times from people across the entire universe about that. But House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 1. As always, I'm joined by my partner here, Mr. Tom Fisher. How are you, buddy?
What's poppin', Colonels, and happy Father's Day. The pops out there, the ones who are playing pops, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully y'all enjoyed your Sunday, and hopefully you got to end it off with this season 2 of House of the Dragon.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy episode. Can't wait to dive in. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it 6 or 7 more times before we talk about the episode. This is going to be filled with lots of spoilers. We're going to talk about the episode kind of in depth, but weekly throughout the season of House of the Dragon, we will be joined by my good friend, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. I like to call him Buff, Mr. Chris Clarkson. How are you, buddy?
What's up, man?
There you
go.
What's up, brother?
Sorry, guys. I'm having a little bit of Wi-Fi trouble here at the house. Not sure exactly what's going on, but lovely to be here on a fine Sunday evening. Glad to be invited by you there, Ricky, and hope to, have a good time.
I'm excited.
Recapping House of the Dragon.
Exactly. I'm excited because you can bring a different perspective, obviously, because you have read the book. You are the Game of Thrones guy, House of the Dragon guy. We talked a little bit about it earlier this week, but obviously, before we dive in, House of the Dragon, shockingly got renewed for a 3rd season ahead of the release of the new season. Which nobody saw that coming. I mean, it's the biggest show they've got, especially with Succession gone out the door. But in this episode, we are going to break down some of the biggest things that happened with spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, you may want to turn it off right now. But everything that happened in episode 1 of season 2, House of the Dragons, titled A Son for a Son. Before we will begin, I want to prefix by saying, I'm going to say people's names wrong. Chris will probably correct me. The audience will probably correct me, and I still would get them wrong. Don't get too mad at me, but I will plan on having a lot of fun with this because this show is absolutely incredible. Again, this is 1,666 million% a spoiler show, but before we dive in, Dom, I'm going to put you on the spot. Before this episode, were you Team Green or were you Team Black? I have to know.
Oh, Team Black, man. Look, man, I don't like the way the shit went down. I don't fuck with Allison. I don't fuck with the High Towers. I really don't fuck with Otto. Like, they snaky, man. But I guess it's fitting if they're, in the House of Dragons, so it makes for very entertaining television.
Chris?
Dom, I could not have said it better myself, man. The Greens are snakes. They are awful. You saw it at the end of the episode with them barging in on Allison and Kristen Cole. Like, you can't. No, like, we are all Team Black on here. Ricky, if you're not, get out.
Look, there's only one redeemingly good thing about Team Green, okay? And that's Allison Hightower, okay? And that's just because Olivia Cook is amazing. But obviously, all right, we're going to dive right in. Obviously, like I said, I'm not going to post what that guy said quite yet. Obviously, we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But obviously, we're dealing with the aftermath of Viserys' death remaining at the forefront of our battle in Westeros. We pick up 10 days after season 1, and we're kind of watching this slowly but surely war that's starting to jockey for a position here. And obviously, the title of the episode, A Son for a Son. Prince Daemon is seeking revenge for Queen Rhaenyra's son's death and wants Prince Rhaenyra to fly to King's Landing to kill Vhagar and blah, 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 everybody, okay? She refuses, stating he's not in charge. Daemon is frustrated. Obviously, the Queen has gone MIA, right? And I think we can all agree for rightful reasons, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Luke's death there was traumatizing for Rhaenyra, and I mean, you can even see it in Damon's face when he's talking about it. Like it is a bad time for Rhaenyra, Damon, like all of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, Dom, were you surprised? Because I know I wasn't. I'm sure Chris obviously read the book. He wasn't either. But, Queen Allison and Mr. Kriston Cole, they kind of complicated things, didn't they?
Look, man, and it's funny to me because Rhaenyra's hiding it in the first season. Like Kristen getting around. First off, he like who the bad in the castle? Oh, them two. I'm finna pull them both. It don't matter. No, it's funny because I'm curious to see what the outcome may be of like their hookups. Like, is there gonna be a child at some point, and then you get a whole nother kind of thing going on because she don't care. She just all around the castle, like, I'm gonna do it over here, I'm gonna do it over here. They low-key don't even care they got busted. They just kind of like, oh no, we got caught. Did you see? Oh well, like, because if with her power, if they get caught, they're gonna kill you. So it don't really matter. But yeah, it's crazy that it's on some like some real like y'all are calling her, Rhaenyra out, and now look what you doing.
I will say this, I did forget to mention, I really love the beginning of this episode. I love the new kind of stitch graphic type of thing. I love to keep the music the same, but like I love the way that they kind of tied it in a little bit, giving us that a little bit of a different beginning of the season. I loved what we see from Emma D'Arcy very early on in this episode as she's trying to hunt down, and she wants the slightest proof that her son is like really dead. You know what I mean? I think deep down she knows the answer, but that hunt there, I just feel like you empathize with everything that she's going through in this scene just because she's trying to just fly through hell and back just to find out. Obviously, upon her return, she sits at the head of the table, announces, and says, I want Aemon. Now, what that actually means and how, our prince takes it, I think we're two totally different things. Right, Chris?
No, I mean, couldn't agree more. I mean, she absolutely wanted Aemon's head, right? Mm-hmm. Like on a spike outside of Dragonstone, like that was it, right? Like that is exactly what she meant. Like a son for a son. The title of the episode was, okay, they killed Luke. I'm getting Aemon's ass right now. Like that is the end of it.
For sure. And then of course on the flip side, obviously, so Damon hits the streets. You know what I mean? He hits the streets, to find
as Damon does.
As Damon does. And he wants to find somebody that's willing to do this. Now, this is a thing that I found interesting more than ever. Okay. I missed it. I saw the first episode twice. Yes, I know. But the first episode twice. But it's funny to me that conversation he has there. He's like, he's an easy guy to find. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's the guy with the one eye. You know what I mean? It's like, Monsters Inc. all over again. But to me, what was the interpretation? Because we don't hear when they said, well, who do you want or whatever, and he's like, he's a son for a son type of scenario. You don't hear him officially say, kind of the son for a son. He just wants Aemon, right? That to me is where, now obviously that gets a little bit further into the episode of who actually dies, and we won't go there yet. But you don't really ever hear Damon say, kill anybody, right? You know what I mean? Other than Aemon.
Yeah, I think that's I feel like that translates into like, any kind of gangster type of situation. When you got to go to the lowest of the low to get your job done because you can't get your hands dirty, they just go, oh, well, I can't get it done exactly how they want to. I'll just do whatever, and hopefully they'll be happy with it. And you're going to have consequences later if they're not, happy with the thing that you did, which I'm sure it's going to cause more problems than what they wanted to be done.
And Chris, I got a fun retort to that as well. Like Prince Aemon and Prince Daemon are basically the same person in going hand in hand in how they move within each of their houses, right?
Well, I would agree with that, but Aemond he's pretty much a carbon copy of Daemon, except the way that they've written Daemon in this show is that he has a little bit of that like grayness about him, right? Like he's got to a point where you're like, oh well, he might be good, he might be bad. He's got so many different like nuances to him. But Aemond is just like 100% like a bad dude, right? Like there is no he's like Daemon if Daemon wasn't was just completely evil, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I'm sorry, like I saw like a meme or a TikTok or something. It was like Prince Damon can do whatever he wanted and we'll still love him. And that's just a fact. I mean, like, and I think it's a lot to me. It has to do with Matt Smith and his portrayal of this character, which only gets better and better as the season progresses. But not going there. Obviously, we see Aemond and Kristen Cole kind of making plans. And then, of course, Otto Hightower sticks his nose into the business. What is our feeling about Otto here? Like Otto he seems obviously he's not the king, but he is the king, blah, 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 blah. But Dom, what how do you feel about good old Otto?
Man, Otto is Mitch McConnell, dude. He's Mitch McConnell. It's these people who are just a few steps removed from the top, and they think that they have a lot of influence with that person because they're their ears to the streets. What's going on? They, when you're in charge, you kind of need that that extra thought process. I'm like, should I do this? I should. Okay, cool. You need that extra validation, and that's what Otto provides. But I think everybody can kind of see that, like, he wants a little more control than he's leading on, and it's definitely Aemon. He's seeing everything. He don't trust anybody. He's loyal to the king because that's his brother, but I don't really think he messes with him either. So yeah, I mean, it's if you slowly start to see dissent in the minds of everybody because everybody has ulterior motives, and Otto probably has the biggest.
Chris, any thoughts on that?
No, Otto, I think they've tried to get him to the point where he's like someone like Littlefinger, but talks deeper, I guess. Like like his voice is deeper than Littlefinger's was, right? And they want somebody in this show who is like playing, the Game of Thrones, right? And the only person that they have right now is Otto. Like Alicent and Kristen are doing their thing, whatever. They're, she's messing with the Kingsguard, whatever. And then, but like Daemon and Aemond and Rhaenyra, all of those, they're all just trying to kill each other. And Otto is the only one that they have that is just, oh, well, I'm going to move this chess piece here and then this chess piece over here. Like, that's it, right? And he's doing a bad job of it, too. Like, he's not controlling anything. He's making a fool out of himself because he just can't control any of the stuff that he thinks he can. And it's honestly kind of funny to watch.
It really is, because as you're watching it go on, because like even when he comes in to confront, Aemon and Cole, and he's like, well, what are you guys doing? And he's like, oh, we're just vibing. You know what I mean? We're just sitting here talking shit. You know what I mean?
Just hanging out, man.
Yeah. Of course, Aemon, assures him there he just wants to serve the king in his house. I'm like, come on, bro. You really took that as like 4 exact words? Like, there's no way. Like, all right.
And now he's got competition with Lord Larys with the cane, because he's trying to do the same thing by influencing Aegon. So now you're like, well, where's it gonna go? You know what I mean?
Look, Lord Larys and Littlefinger are the same fucking human being. Dom doesn't get the reference. He didn't watch Game of Thrones, but fuck Lord Larys.
So it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but his nickname in the book, Fire and Blood, which reads like a history book, it's not really that great. His nickname is Clubfoot. So they did this deliberately.
That's
like
so
they
funny.
actually did it.
All right. Before we get to the kind of the culmination of this episode, we had such a strong like finish of this episode that we'll really do a deep dive on. Is there anything else prior to that final 15 maybe minutes that kind of stood out to you? Dom, I'll let you have the floor first. Before we get to that final scene, though, anything before that kind of stood out to you that you wanted to mention before we talk about that?
I think kind of what Allison and when her dad were talking about, that she don't really want smoke like that. Like, that's still her homegirl from back in the day, and she knows what she has to do, but at the same time, she's like, I'd rather move without killing her, but she has all the pressure of the throne and her father, and I feel like Rhaenyra was kind of in the same vein until her son gets eaten. So that's the thing that stuck out to me, is that it's one of those like, I don't want this, but y'all want it, and then they're the same way. I don't want this, but y'all want it. So if they actually were able to kind of sit down, would all this be happening? Maybe not, but we'll never know, because now there's too much at stake.
Chris, to you?
The one thing that stood out to me about the beginning of the show is that Cregan Stark wants to be a combination of Tim Riggins and Jon Snow. That was like the thing that stuck out in my head. I was like, dude, like, just stop it. All right, like, you're a minor character here. Like, just get out of here. But I mean, the whole like, this was more of a chess piecing move around the table type episode, right? They're building up towards the Dance of Dragons, right? And so there is going to be a lot more action moving forward, and I can't wait for it. But there was a lot of talking in rooms for whatever reason that they have, whether it's Otto or Allison or Kristen Cole and Aemon or Daemon and Rhaenyra, but they're all trying to get to the same end game, which is going to be a huge dragon-fueled civil war, right? And that's what's going to happen. That's just what they're building up to, and that's what a lot of this episode was.
Yeah, and it builds up, obviously, to the monumental moment here at the end of the episode. You know what I mean? We knew the title of the episode is Son for a Son. Our dynamic duo kind of navigate the castle in their attempt to find Princess Aemon. Now, before we get to that part, right, do we really feel like either one of these guys really could have killed Aemon? Like, not in their wildest fucking dreams, right?
No chance. Not a chance.
He would have fucked them both up real good. You know what I mean?
I feel like they both knew too. That's why, like, when he threw down the bag of money, there was like, this ain't finna happen, right? Like, we'll get in there. I don't know, bro. It might be 2 against 1, but like, y'all know he's with the shit, so I don't know what you thought was gonna happen.
The big dude was like, okay, I'm kind of an idiot. I'll see what I can do, kind of guy. Like a Lenny from Of Mice and Men kind of dude. And the small guy was like, okay, well, I'm just going to find the first family member of the Targaryens, and then I'm going to slit that kid's throat. Like, that dude knew about it. The other guy did not want to be about it.
No, not at all. Who of you realized that Stark would hold the Sword ice, which hold Ned in the original series? I don't know any of that.
I didn't realize. Did he have ice? So ice is the Valyrian steel sword that was like the Stark family sword.
Yeah.
And it was the one actually that Ilyn Payne used to cut off Ned Stark's head at the Sept of Baelor in season 1 of Game of Thrones. I didn't realize that he had ice because it's a huge sword. It's like a 6-foot-long greatsword kind of thing. I didn't realize he had that.
I noticed how big it was. I just didn't know what it was, if it held any significance.
All right. So as we talked about, as these gentlemen hunt down and try to find it, they go get to Queen Helena. This kind of like, it surprised me because how honest she was. Obviously, obviously if you read the book, you know what like kind of happens or whatever. But to me, it's like she like picked it, and I think had hoped that they would think it would be the opposite, but I think it would be the other. I would have been the other way around. Like, I mean, I guess in that moment you're making a judgment call. Somebody's gonna die here. You know what I mean? Obviously, a knife to your throat. We see the son of the king. Jaehaerys, he's a gone. You know what I mean? He's a goner. They killed him, obviously. Then from there, we see Queen Helena run into the room and see Mama and Kristen Cole bumping the nasties. But talk me through that scene. Clarkson, how similar to the book is this scene to what we see play out on the on the small screen?
So, to be honest with you, it's not really all that similar, just because, like I said earlier, it's like Fire and Blood is written kind of like a history book, right? Like it's a complete like tale. It's not even like a story, right? It's just written as a, like a set of facts. Like you're just going through the amount of time and everything, and they're like, well, this thing happened, and then this thing happened, and then this thing happened, right? And I really, really love what Ryan Condal is doing, because he's building out based on the book, but he's building out the world of, the Targaryen dynasty and all of that in his own form, and obviously with the help of George R. R. Martin. But it's not really all that similar to the book, because nowhere in Fire and Blood that I recall was there any sentence like, oh well, Kristen Cole and Alicent Hightower were fucking, like right. So it's similar to the point where they're like staying true to the events and how they're like unfolding, but the showrunners are absolutely like building it on their own kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and which we've talked about. You said that how that book does play out, so they need to flex a little bit of muscle to make it more theatrical or thematic, episodic. You know what I mean? Versus that. Dom, your thoughts about that entire scene, including Jaehaerys, getting beheaded there in that moment.
Man, so if you watched Game of Thrones, which I didn't, but I've seen clips, I knew the show went there. Right, you're always waiting for when one episode the show goes there, and it starts off with like, oh shit, because clearly they didn't just simply like slit his throat. There's like cutting. It sounds like they're trying to put the head in the bag or something, and hey, I got something for you. So it's gonna cause a huge. It's gonna be bad. The aftermath is gonna be bad, but I think even something that could be potentially bigger within the Hightower family is that if Alicent is so cavalier with her hookups, what happens if like one of her sons walks in with her and Kristen, or what if her father, like what are the ramifications of her doing something that is supposed to be beneath her, and what are the effects of it once she gets caught? Because she's gonna get caught. She's almost got caught twice, or she got caught once, almost got caught a second time. So what happens when she eventually gets caught by everybody?
Yeah, and to me, I mean, you know what I mean? I thought it was fantastic how it all kind of built to it, because even you alluded to it, like Alicent early in the episode, it's like, I don't want a war. And after this, everybody's gonna you know what I mean? Oh hell no. Because obviously we have the idea of on the flip side of things, you know what I mean? We have, Daemon kind of doing whatever the hell he wanted here without the knowledge of Queen Rhaenyra. She does no clue what the hell he kind of put in play to make this happen. Because we all know it doesn't matter that she's going to tell the whole world, hey, this wasn't my idea. You know what I mean? Like, I did not do this. It's going to be her fault. She's the queen. She's the head of the table. She's the person, you need to be controlling your brother, basically. The same way, that she has no control over Daemon just as much as Aegon has no control over his own damn brother. You know what I mean? Like, there's no control there at all. All right, folks. Overall thoughts, Chris, I'll let you start. Overall thoughts of the episode as it played out.
I liked it a lot. I think it was a good kickoff to season 2. Like I said before, it was a lot of people talking in rooms kind of thing, like where they're trying to build out the storyline a little bit, which is kind of what you want with a season premiere, I guess. I mean, there was a little action, obviously, with Lenny and his little band of misfits killing the prince at the end, but it's I think they're setting things up. I think episodes probably 2 through 5 are going to be, or 2 through 4 are going to be a lot more action packed, and I can't wait for it. But I think it was a good start to the season.
Someone who has seen 2, 3, 4, I can tell you that it does get.
He keeps throwing that in my face, Don.
I know I do. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I did. I watched it twice. Not to throw that in there. All right, Dom. Overall thoughts on the episode?
No, I think it is. Same with Chris. It's a good start, especially for someone like me who jumped onto the Game of Thrones shit with the first season of House of the Dragon. It's a good, like, it's almost, I don't want to say palate cleanser, but it's like a palate cleanser. I mean, you kind of get this almost like a restart of, like, you get the settling of what took place in season 1. You get to kind of figure out, get your bearings back of what's happening, and then jump back into it after like the first like 10, 15 minutes. And then you go, oh, I remember what happened. And then, the ball gets rolling pretty quickly. So yeah, I think it was a great start. I'm curious to see what the viewership numbers will be like after this episode, because I feel like it's going to be really high.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That's a really good point, Dom. The last couple seasons of Game of Thrones they were jumping around so much that you couldn't really understand. Like, I mean, if you paid attention, you could understand, but you just got slapped in the face really by jumps, right? In different, like, you're going over to here and then over to there. And the season 7 didn't start off at the same place where we ended season 6 type of thing. And I think you're right there, where I think they did a really good job of recapping a lot of things in those first 10, 15, 20 minutes of episode 1.
Yeah, because even for me, like, I really wanted to rewatch the first season before the new season started. I just didn't get a chance to do it, but they really do. They laid some groundwork to kind of give you those peaks and remembers. But that's what I think that's so great about the show as well. With this episode, you have world building, and it's so pivotal in these worlds because these characters, there's so many different characters. There's so many different pieces. Obviously, you have your main pieces that are here, but you have some ancillary pieces that are here that are trying to be here. And you have to really kind of figure out who's who in this. And there's a lot of different names. There's a lot of weird names. And there's people that haven't read the book. So there's people that don't know these characters and who are going to butcher their names over and over again and figure out who's that again. But to me, outside of that, it's like a chess match. You know what I mean? Like, this is what that is. You know what I mean? This entire episode was laying the foundation of what Daemon was going to do as a retaliation while Rhaenyra kind of tried to figure out what the hell she wanted to do to get her life back on track after finding out her kids. And to me, like, it being only 10 days after season 1 was another brilliant decision that I really loved. You know what I mean? It didn't jump. And you're right. Like, Game of Thrones towards the end of it, like, it's like, holy shit. You know what I mean? And even the comment here was 8 of 10, very nice camera work. And it's, again, a very nice, good, slow start of the war. The characters and to know what to come. You know what I mean? We know the principal pieces at the end of this episode. We know what this is going to cause. We know Aegon's going to probably flip his shit. Not probably. Will flip his shit. You know what I mean? Like, his heir is dead. You know what I mean? Like, his heir is dead now. What that's going to be like. Aemon's going to be in the fold. Otto's going to be like, but don't do it, guys. You know what I mean? Like, but I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic episode. I really love the bounce back. Folks, any parting words before we go?
One thing I'm going to be interested to see now that Aegon's heir is dead is how Aemon kind of takes that, right? Because obviously at the beginning of season 1 of House of the Dragon, Daemon was Viserys's heir because he was his little brother. Viserys didn't have any sons. All that stuff, blah, blah, blah. So now that Aegon is, quote unquote, heirless, like, Aemon is his heir. So I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out because I can absolutely see Aemon just, you know what, Aegon, you're weak, you're an idiot, like cut his throat, like I'm king now type situation. I think I could absolutely see that happening in the show.
For sure. Dom, parting words.
That's a good point, because it made me think back to when he's on the throne drinking with his buddies, and he's like, "My brother will do whatever I tell him to do. Maybe not now." That's a good point. Oh shit!
Yeah, and he's already making moves behind his back as is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Cole. He's got Cole at the palm of his hand. I think just running errands, and he's been basically his errand boy right now. You know what I mean? But yeah, I am definitely interested to see the next steps of what Alicent does and what her response to this is as well outside of Aegon, because Aegon's just a loose cannon. He's a horrible king. He's a horrible king. You know what I mean? But he's a young kid.
Idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it doesn't help that he's an idiot. You know what I mean? But the flip side of that is like Aemon is too like crazy to be the king. But you know, also, you know,
he's also very, very cunning though, right?
Yeah.
So like he's like he sees all of these different moves playing out in his head, and you can tell that by like how he's portrayed. As like the actor does an amazing job, and I don't know what his name is. But he has, like, you can see the wheels turning in his head on all of these things, like with Kristen Cole, and like, it's wonderfully portrayed, and I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, Ewan Mitchell, he's fantastic. He's the guy that plays Prince Aemon, and it's only up from here for Prince Aemon, boys and girls. That's like all I can say about that. But all right, that is it for this week's recap. We will be back of some sort next week. But we'll be back live for episode 3. I don't know what we're going to do for episode 2 yet. We got a pretty busy week ahead for Clarkson and I. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll be back next week.